Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Whitest Mexican You Know. Of course, I'm your host, Antonio. Every week I try to have some of the best local Las Vegas comedians on. This week is no different. Please help me welcome Rufus Nelson. How's it going, my brother?
It's going well. One of the best. I'm flattered.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you actually are one of the best. And at least in my opinion, of the circle that, of newer comics that we're in. Because you're only,
8 months?
8 months?
Yeah, man.
Dude, it's ridiculous how good you are. And I know comics don't do well with compliments.
Not at all, man.
But I've always wondered, what is your writing style like? Because
Ooh.
I never see you with a notebook, and I usually never see you, checking notes on your phone.
Yeah.
And you're really good off the top. Like when we were at Wise Guys that day, and that dude went up there and, he went on his whole rant about, don't use black guys as jokes and this and that. You went up there, addressed it immediately, and it was fucking brilliant.
Hey, man. That's the thing. I don't have much of a writing process, if I'm being honest with you. I'm so new that I don't know the formula for comedy. So, to me, I'm just, always trying to see what works. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll have an idea of what I'm going to say before I get on stage, and I try to just, really roll with it. Most of it's just, weird opinions that I've had about things, or just things that I've experienced in life, kind of jazzed up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, man, I mostly learned it watching people and seeing what works and seeing how the crowd reacts. It's so there's some things I think are fucking hilarious. If the crowd doesn't laugh at it, then I'm like, why aren't they laughing at it?
Yeah.
And then best piece of advice I can give anybody starting out or in the game, just record everything. I just record everything, and then I salvage what works and then what didn't work, and I just try to I guess string it all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have that process of, shit that doesn't work that you later on, get down and try to figure out how do you make it work?
I've done it a couple of times, but I haven't I've got probably a solid maybe 8 hours of recording. Just from I try to hit every open mic as much as possible, try to record every open mic, and then just listen and go through and maybe I felt like the crowd was doing well or the crowd was reacting to stuff, but then I'll listen to it later. I'm like, ugh, there's nothing really. It was a situational thing. There's nothing really there.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't really done a deep dive in my files for about maybe the past 4 months, 4 or 5 months. I haven't really been doing anything. It's just been mostly working on just stuff that comes to mind. If it seems funny to me, I want to try it on stage, so I do.
Dude, hell yeah. I have such a hard time writing, because I want to be the one, sit down, write some shit. And I have such a hard time because anything that I put on paper, I want it to be awesome, you know? And I have that heart, because everybody has told me, just write everything.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, whatever, try it. If it doesn't work, scrap it or work on it later.
Yeah.
But I have such a hard time doing that. I've had shit that I've written down, I've taken to stage, it bombed horribly.
Yeah.
Never touched it again.
No?
Yeah.
Nah, man, you got to get through that. That's everything, though. If at first it doesn't work out, then I just try to tweak it. I don't try to rewrite everything. If I do a set and nothing goes well during this, or it completely bombs, before I scrap it completely, I always try to do it again, but just poke at it a little bit. If I felt okay, maybe that was too much of a, maybe if it went too long before I got to my next punchline, so let me just shorten up this little transition thing to get them there or something like that. But I always try to change it by maybe 15%, 10%, 20%, just to give it a statistical thing. I don't know the actual percentage of what I'm training, right? But I try to take little things and see what works, and sometimes that works. Sometimes you'll change something just a little bit. You emphasize something a little bit more, or you don't emphasize it at all, and it becomes a new thing. It hits different.
Yeah, and I've also seen that just changing a word sometimes, or a conjugation of a word.
Yeah.
Because I have something where the punchline is and I got white, really quickly, and that's how I always said it, was really quickly,
Right.
And it would work for the most part. And then I changed it to real quick.
Yeah.
And it worked better. And I was
like,
how is it? How is it just that little bit,
Got real quick. That's what I mean. Because it's a certain, it carries a different weight.
Mm-hmm.
When you go, I got white really quickly. It implies this thing where you just brush yourself up. But real quick, it's just you know what I mean? That's.
It how do you say it? Emphasizes.
Emphasis, yeah. It has an emphasis to it.
The quickness of what changed.
Yeah.
Because you're, speeding up how you say those two words.
Yeah. That's it.
It's fucking weird, man. Comedy has been the weirdest thing that I've ever gotten into.
Yeah. There's no, everybody has, like I said, everybody has their formula for what might work, but it could work for one person, but it won't necessarily work for anybody else.
Yeah. And are you the type of person, because I had Reese on, and he was telling me how he doesn't take advice from anybody.
Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite.
Take advice from
I take it
everybody.
because if I think you're funny and you tell me like, hey, maybe this wording or whatever,
Yeah,
I'll take that to heart because I think you're funny,
right.
you know? But he said no matter what, he
Don't take
doesn't
advice.
don't take advice. Like, how do you feel?
Uh, I'm kind of like 50-50. Like, if I feel like, don't get me wrong, I feel like everybody who gives me advice in the scene anyway is genuine about their advice. Like, they think that it's going to add something better and make it a
Yeah.
little bit better. But I also remember, like, this is better from your perspective. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So, like, a comic's perspective on what makes it better, it, I mean, let's be fair. Like, most of the people we know and talk to aren't, like, on major stages or anything like that. There's
yeah.
no shout outs to anybody because I'm new too. I'm not there yet. But, like, if I get advice, I think about it as like, would that make this funny? And I might try it out. But like, there's sometimes I get advice like, I do a joke, nigga man, like my nigga
Yeah.
man thing. I'm not gonna go into it right now, but like,
You
I,
always seem to run out of time whenever you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
tell that
no,
story. I love
it's.
it.
I found out like that joke. I finally got it out at a 5 minute set, and just doing that story alone, just
Yeah.
that whole thing, is like 4.5 minutes. So
Mm,
literally, like it's just a 4.5 minute thing, but there's
yeah.
certain things in it that just make it funny.
Yeah.
But one of the things was like, you should change the white mom to a black mom because black women, black women are actually disciplining their kids, and it would
Yeah.
just be. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't really make it funny, right? Because like, if it's a black mom disciplining a white kid, he can probably say nigga, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's not. What's the trouble here, you know?
Yeah.
But then I'd have to add too many things to it in order to make it like seem funny to me. So I just don't.
Mm,
I just didn't take it.
yeah.
But I've gotten some advice from other people. It's like, man, try this, and if I feel that's the same way, like if I feel like that person's funny or this could work for that, I'm gonna try it
Yeah.
out. Like good advice is good advice no matter who it comes from. It's just
Yeah.
like if it works for me, I'm gonna take it. If it don't work for me,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 I've had people tell me, certain things like, change this word to this word or, do an act out at this part.
yeah.
And it's like my persona on stage, like I'm not a
That's
very act out type
and
of
that's what I
comic,
mean. Like it could be something that helps give an extra punch to your set. Like, and if
Yeah.
you do something that's breaking the norm, but it also can just kind of fuck you up, right? Like if you do
Yeah.
something that's out of character and it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
Yeah.
like I never like to be put in that position either. So
Yeah.
if I'm going up there, I'm trying new things, I might incorporate it, but like it's never anything so drastic where it's like it's a whole transformation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And I think we've talked about this. Like where your first set was at Dive Bar,
Dive
right?
bar, that's my home.
Okay. And
Yeah.
for people who don't know, Dive Bar is
Oof.
one of the shittiest open mics that we have in the scene.
Bro, that's the reason I love doing dive bar like
Yeah.
without fails because like I feel like dive bar is one of those places like most of the time the crowd in there are just the regulars who are there to drink and meet up with their people and do
Yeah.
whatever. They're not really paying attention to the comedy
Yeah.
show. But if you can get the reaction out of them, like if you can get those 10 or so people sitting at the other end of the bar not paying attention
Yeah.
to engage and actually applaud or do something when you're getting off the stage so they know, like it feels like you just lit up the entire room.
Yeah.
So
Have you
like,
ever gotten that?
yes,
Really?
yes. Same
Fuck.
joke when I was working on my nigga man joke. I did the same thing. I riffed for a little bit. I did that. I went into that one, but this is also an exception because like Randall gave me like 10 minutes, right? It was
Okay.
like the last three comics. There was like not a lot of people there, so we just let us go.
Okay.
So like 4 minutes, I just did whatever. Then I did that joke, and like the part where I get everybody to clap. They did it. Like they actually clapped and got involved and laughed when it was over. I was like, oh shit! I
Damn.
felt like a great set.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't like I didn't see who all was laughing, I just heard them on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those lights are blinding.
I think the best that I've ever done at Dive Bar, the only way I knew it was a good set
Mhm.
is because there was like 2 or 3 people who were sitting on the side by the bathrooms.
Yeah.
When I got off, I went to go get a beer, and all 3 of them were like, "Dude, that was great!
Yeah.
Like, you're really funny." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Yeah.
I got somebody sitting at the bar to acknowledge me.
I'm telling you, it lights up the whole room in a different way.
It's weird.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I see, like, but I'm good with. I think the reason I'm good with stuff like that is because I'm. Before I did comedy, before I got into it, my previous career was like a corporate trainer. So like I'm used to
Oh,
being.
really?
Yeah, I did that for about 5 years. So just like going into a room, maybe 15, 20 people, being the center of attention, trying to lead them through these different modules and get them to understand what we're putting forth. So to me,
Okay.
it's like I can take the stage. Like I have to get over my stage fright, but I'll take the stage. But it's like
Yeah.
there are certain tricks of the trade, like. I don't have to rush through anything. I know silence can be weighty. Like if you've ever seen me do it, it doesn't happen too often anymore. But like there'll be times when I get on stage. If I go on stage and everyone's talking, I just won't say anything for maybe like the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Just like, and here's coming to the stage, Rufus, no, and like the applause die down for who's being polite,
Mhm.
and then just wait. Like you'll start to notice like people are talking, they're still having the conversation, but
Yeah.
as people start to realize like there's no background noise, they
Yeah.
turn to look. They turn to look, and that's when I'll go and like, hey everybody, acknowledge
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a ballsy tactic because a lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of the silence. They just want to talk over it and just be like, if I'm louder than them, they'll pay attention.
Yeah.
But that's a brilliant tactic. Is just be quiet until they start to realize that, hey,
Yeah.
that noise we've been hearing all night isn't there anymore.
It's like, what the fuck? They'll look back at the stage, like, what the hell's going on? And that's when you got them. Like, you'll at least for a minute. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be like keeping their attention for a while, but at least you'll have that starting point again.
Yeah. And I've used a couple tricks where, at Dive Bar I used this one, which it worked out, kind of well.
Yeah.
Where I went up there, it was loud in there. And so I just yelled into the microphone, anal beads.
That's another one.
And I took a pause, and then everybody at the bar started laughing. They were like, what the fuck is this? And I had their attention for 2 or 3 minutes, and then they just went back to doing what they're doing.
That's what, so it's all about that's the audience, right? It's all about what we do is mostly comedy is engagement with the audience, right? So you can do one of the tricks is silence, let it pause, and then let them turn their attention to you. But an attention grabber is another one. We just yell out something random and then get them to look over. It's just I've noticed when you do the random one, you always want to have something lined up for it. If I'm yelling out anal beads, okay, so now that I got your attention, anal beads are weird, and then you just go into it's got to, if you acknowledge it, at least that's my brand of comedy. If it's happening and you acknowledge it, you have to acknowledge it for a reason, right? So I
think that's where I fucked up because I yelled anal beads. They all looked at me and I was like, "So my Mexican father?" And they're like, "What the fuck?" They're so uninterested at that point.
We're clocking out again. Nah, man, but it's just something I feel like that's something that we can all learn from. It's there's a way. And that's what I work on. I love comedy because no matter how much you think you understand it, there's always more layers. There's always different facets of it that I didn't know could exist until I seen someone else do it on stage. And it's how can I do it in my own way? What works for me and transitions me into my set. So I try to just, like you said, try stuff out, see what it works. And then once you get a little bit of success, try refining it and going from there.
Yeah. And so what actually made you want to get into stand-up? Because it sounded like you had a legit job and probably paid really well.
Yeah,
now you're fucking
hustling it over.
Hustling.
Yeah, man.
Buying drinks that you can't afford.
Oh, shit. It's the reason I got into my career in the first place was I was just working at a call center. I didn't expect to stay there for any amount of time, but I got an opportunity to become a trainer's aide, a trainer in training. So somebody that's in the classroom has a little bit of authority but doesn't have to talk too much. And I realized I hate talking to people. I hate being the center of attention. I hate it doing that stuff. So I took it as a personal challenge. All right, well, this is an opportunity to grow a career, learn a little bit more about skills that I don't necessarily have, and work on something for myself to make me better at, just being a normal human being, right? Comedy was the same thing. I spent 5 years, I was training internationally. I was in Colombia for most of 2019. I was fucking training Jamaicans and Colombians over there. When COVID hit, we transitioned over to Zoom, so I helped pioneer that stuff. Trained all the other trainers, got them certified, trained master trainers to certify other trainers. I was doing it, yeah.
Hell yeah.
But then I got laid off because I trained myself out of a job, right? I trained everybody and every other site was set. And then when our site closed down, I'm well, we don't really have another program for you to transfer to, and we really don't see it expanding anytime soon because of COVID. So they just let me go.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. So I figured if I could spend 5 years grinding, and I ground for my own personal gain too, but I spent 5 years grinding. I know I made this company at least a couple $100,000. You know what I mean? Just from costs we saved and things like that. So it's if I can invest that much in a regular job, I should probably just take that same kind of momentum and invest it in myself. So,
dude, hell yeah. And so what brought you out here to Vegas?
Oh, that was just to get out of Indiana. I was was it 26? It's been 5 years now, almost 6 in July. So same thing. I was working a job at a hospital doing administrative paperwork. Was doing it for 3 years. Got comfortable, patient access, and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, I could keep this job, probably make a living, get a house, do all this stuff. But do I really want to live in Indiana for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
So at first I tried to get other people to come out with me. Of course, nobody was we don't know anybody else. I forget it.
And even then, Vegas is a hard sell to live there.
Yeah.
Everybody would be yeah, let's take a weekend out there.
Yeah.
But to
live there, yeah,
let's fucking put roots up.
Yeah. My parents still think I live in a casino, on the road. They didn't, until they came out here to see me, they thought, what hotel are you staying in? It was there's houses, right? We're not, it's not just one strip of land. But, so no, I decided, man, I took my last 2 paychecks, took my car, quit my job, and then drove out. I was if I'm gonna make it, I tried to, I did research before I moved. I wouldn't spur the moment, but I was at first I wanted to do LA because who doesn't want to live in California?
Yeah.
And then I realized how California, I realized how expensive California was. Fuck this. Yeah. So Vegas was the next closest thing. It was when I moved out here, same cost of living, the bubble. We still haven't recovered from the housing crash, so
Okay,
I got my first apartment for like 600, 650,
not
and
bad.
that was easy. Like we didn't have to pay rent for like the first 2 months. Like it was just like they had a
Really?
lot of specials coming out.
Damn.
But no, I don't know. Like I don't have family out here or nothing like that. Nobody I really know. So I just decided like fuck it, I'm gonna go out, see what I can make of myself. Slept in my car for like the first 3 to 4 weeks. Got a job, built myself up, and
Damn.
the rest is as they say history.
Dude, hell yeah. I,
Mhm.
I appreciate a grind like that because I have a similar story when I got out of Texas.
Yeah.
You know, I was working a shit job at a vape store, you know, had a girlfriend, you know, I'm barely, you know,
Yeah.
scraping by. I'm living with my brother.
Right.
And then a couple of my buddies had been talking for months about how they wanted to move to Colorado.
Okay.
And they put the offer to me initially, and I was like, "Ah, I can't, like, I'm in this lease with my bro. I got a girlfriend, like, all of this shit." And then a week before they were gonna move,
Yeah.
the girlfriend that I was dating at the time told me that she had herpes. And we had been dating for like 8 months.
Oof.
And so that night I went over to my buddy's house and I'm telling him all of this. I'm like, what the fuck? And this and that. And then he just looked at me. He goes, come to Colorado with me. And I was like, I don't know, man. He goes, give me 5 good reasons and I'll stop pushing. And I had none. And so he was like, dude, we'll help you get your shit out there. You know, you can crash with us until you get a job. Then you'll,
Yeah.
you know, pay rent and all of that. I went home that night and I just told my brother, I was like, I got to break this lease. Like, I'm moving to Colorado. And he was surprised because before I went up there, I was like, hey, I got some shit to tell you.
Right.
But while I was driving home, when I got there, he was like, dude, I thought you were going to tell me you got somebody pregnant or
Right.
something like that. He goes, I did not think you were telling me you were moving to Colorado. And then he was just like, go for it.
Hell yeah.
He was like, if you don't go, then you'll always make excuses why you can't.
That's it.
So I, you know, obviously broke up with her. I quit my job in a week and
All
then
this had
packed
a
all
week.
my shit and went. It was wild.
No,
But it
man.
was the best decision I ever made.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, I had to get out of Texas. It was like I would want to move back now,
Right.
but where I was living and
How?
that
Yeah.
point in my life,
Circumstances, ain't it?
yeah, you can't stay there forever.
Nah,
Because I
man.
know so many people who are still stuck in the same routine. You know, they
That-
live in the same small town doing a job that their father did. You
Yeah.
know, they have like 3 kids now.
Yeah.
They could be happy, but
Could have been happier. You could have been, living your dream, doing whatever. But
yeah,
that's the thing. Like people are. That's kind of what makes it interesting to me to do comedy because like comedy, I feel like is one of those things anybody could do. Like anybody, you
Mhm.
never know how funny you are until you get up on that stage and start letting it loose, right?
Yeah.
Like, it works, but how many people actually can summon up the courage to get over their fear of like failing
Yeah.
in front of it? Like once you understand that you're gonna fall anyway, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter like where you fall as long as you're willing to try again and try it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So nah, man, I know the same. Like a small town Indiana, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey guys, I'm moving out to Vegas. I moved out to
Yeah.
Vegas. No one's coming with me. I'm like, all right. Well, hey guys, I'm established out here now. Do you guys want to come out? Still the same thing. Like everyone's just like, I don't have a job. I don't, if you want to, if you're really happy where you are, like going back to Indiana, raising a family out there ain't bad. It's a
Yeah.
good place to raise a family.
Yeah.
You can get a nice house, you can get a nice education. It's dope. It's just nothing to do if once you pass like 18 to 25, there's really nothing for you to do.
Yeah.
Like you got to go out to the city to have fun.
Yeah.
Everything closes at like 9 o'clock, and like you
Yeah.
said, it's a small town, so everybody knows everybody. So
Yeah.
like even like your dating prospects is like, oh, I know them because
Oh,
they
yeah.
dated. So I'm like, all right, I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with.
I
this.
know she fucked this guy and this
Yeah.
guy and this guy and your cousin Jimmy.
Yeah,
I'm like, fucking Christ.
bro, I'm good.
I
I don't
don't
need
to know
that. Yeah, I didn't need that, and I'm not going for it. Like it's just not.
But yeah, it's always weird to me. Like I go out there and like I have cousins or some friends back in Texas where they bitch about their life.
No, yeah.
This bitch that I'm married to, or this, my job is this shit hole and this and that. I'm like, fucking change it then.
That's it.
Like fucking go somewhere. I've tried to get so many people when I lived out in Colorado.
Yeah.
Tried to get so many people to move out there when like living in California and here.
Same
I've
thing.
always tried to get people to move out here just because I'm like, I knew you like with cousins. I'm
Yeah.
like, I knew you growing up, man. This wasn't your plan.
Yeah.
And like this wasn't my plan either, but it's as close to that fantasy little kid
Yeah.
plan that I had.
Being able to you're still chasing your dreams. You didn't just give up on them or let them die. Like,
Yeah.
nah, man.
It seems weird to just like, but I guess those small towns, they need that. They need the people who
True.
don't go anywhere.
That's it.
you know?
Otherwise, there's no population. Right?
Exactly.
The whole graduating class leaves.
Yeah.
It get real awkward real fast.
Yeah. But I've always wanted to move around. I've always wanted to travel.
Yeah.
Like I've never been outside of the country except to Mexico when I
Right.
was like 10 years old, And so I always thought like, well, let's see what's in the U.S. and then let's see what's overseas. You
Hell
know,
yeah.
let's just keep moving around. Like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be in Vegas. Like,
No.
I could move to fucking, Montana. In a couple months. Like, I don't know.
No, man. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being nomadic. Like, it
Yeah.
feels like that was it's kind of what we're meant to do. Like, we got this big
Yeah.
old wide thing. Like, why would you want to just stay rooted in your little armpit of the world or
Yeah,
whatever? Even if it's LA, it can still be an armpit. If like that's all you know, that's all you've grown
Yeah,
up around. Like, it's like people who never leave New York, right? All
yeah,
you know is New York, and
yeah.
that's all you need to know as far as
And you
you're
can meet
concerned.
those people who they think the whole world is New York, and you're like, dude,
Yeah.
there's you meet people like in the, few states that I've lived in, you meet a lot of the same type of people,
Yeah.
but then you meet a lot of interesting motherfuckers when you move out of where you grew up.
Heck yeah. Different walks of life, different
Oh, yeah.
upbringings, different exposures, different things. Like,
Yeah.
it's harder now because the internet kind of ruined everything. Like, I mean, back in the day, you had to travel to see a
Yeah.
lot of things. Now everybody just like, knows everything from the internet.
Yeah. But even then, like, the
Yeah.
internet blows shit up. It's
Oh,
like with, how people from the South see LA and New York
Yeah.
and how they see the South. It's
Yeah.
like, I lived in the South. It's not all these
No.
fucking rednecks on their porch, like, you better get
Yeah.
out of here, Confederate flags. Like, I hardly saw any of that. Like, you maybe saw one house that had a Confederate flag, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's
Okay,
the maniac.
That's the house. Yeah, that's the one.
But it's like, until you start actually experiencing these things, you have no idea. And
That's
the
true.
internet will just blow up tensions.
Yeah. It's because everybody wants to be woke, but like everybody has access to information, but they don't really have the context for it. Like, or they don't do the extended research that you need to get that context. You know what I mean? Like, we all know people who just click on an article and share that shit just from the headline, right? And then you open it up, it's like, dude, this is Onion News, man. Like, what are we sharing here? Really? Like, this is an opinion piece.
Yeah. Or it's like those headlines that ask a question.
Yeah.
And then people think that in their head they've already answered the question, so they assume the article did.
Yeah.
But then you read it and it's the complete opposite.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're just posing questions here. This doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, nah, man.
Yeah, it's wild. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, how long do you think you'll be in Vegas? You think this is where you're gonna stay, or?
I mean, for comedy, it seems like a good place to kind of like bump around for a little while, try to get yourself maybe established and get yourself get the foundation built under you. But I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about it too because like I don't have anybody here. There's nothing really tying me here except for my desire to be here. But I don't know anywhere else that I'd want to live at the moment. Like,
really?
I like the climate. I don't like dealing with snow or weather for the most part. So just having like, sun for the most part, a little bit bouts of rain and not mostly mild winters, like it works for me. Plus it's a 24-hour town. So if I ever need to do something like at any point in time, like, you can figure it out. Like overnight jobs don't suck as hard because Indiana, you work a night shift. It's like, all right, you're getting off at like 2 a.m. It's like, all right, well, there's nothing open. The grocery stores are closed. I just got to go home. But here, if it's like I get off at like 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, if I want to go out, maybe meet up with some people, have a drink, or just do anything, not go to sleep, I can do that. So it's a city of convenience that's hard to beat.
See, I've been out here like 2.5 years almost.
Yeah.
And I went back to Texas in October, and it was like 8 or 9 o'clock, and I'm hanging out with my brothers and my cousins, and they go, "Hey man, like we gotta go to the liquor store because they're gonna close soon."
Yeah.
I'm like, close? What are you talking about? Like, we can't just drink whenever we want here.
Dude, it was worse in Indiana because they were up until recently they were a dry state, so like you couldn't even buy alcohol on Sundays, bro. Like you had to cross the state line in order to get anything, and then the grocery stores stopped selling it at like literally midnight that Saturday. So there was a Myers that was open 24 hours, but you couldn't buy alcohol after 12 on Saturday. So
That's ridiculous. Like, Texas wasn't ever that way, but a couple of times I had to travel to like Georgia and places like that, and they're the same way. We showed up there on a Saturday or a Sunday, and we were gonna grab some beer and go to the hotel. And they had a padlock on the fucking the cooler. I'm like, Jesus, man,
it's not allowed,
serious.
folks. Don't even bring it up to the register. We're not gonna sell it to you.
It's insane.
Man.
But what have you been a fan of stand-up your whole life?
I grew up on it. Yeah,
you grew up on it.
Yeah, my dad had like Eddie Murphy's albums on like CD and stuff like that. So like great parenting. He would leave us in the car with just those CDs on. So it'd be me, my little brother, little sister, older brother, just listening to Eddie Murphy talk about do comedy, do his routines and stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, I grew up. I mean, of course, Dave Chappelle era where he like had the Chappelle show and was starting to hit big. I listened to a lot of George Carlin. I like George Carlin because he has a way of weaving together jokes with real life things that make it like he makes real life funny. And the stances and the ideologies that we have, he makes them funny by pointing out the absurdities in them. Yeah. So like I really kind of I digged his set. But like Richard Pryor, all the greats in the old days I grew up listening to. I just never thought to be a comic until recently.
Yeah. And do you have any like big comics who are like big right now that you follow kind of religiously?
Not really, if I'm
Really?
being honest. Like, I don't know. It's like I don't want to poison the well, so to speak, because I feel like the more I watch other comics, the more it starts to influence my own brand of comedy. And I'm not trying to be the next anything. I'm just trying to be myself. So like, I kind of like take a step back from it.
I hear that so much. Like everybody talks about like I used to love stand up. I used to listen to it all the time, but since I started doing stand up, I don't. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, like the podcasts that these guys do. I'll do that, like Legion of Skanks. I don't know if you know that, but it's like Big J Okerson and a couple New York comics. They have a podcast. It's fucking hilarious, and I listen to that all the time. But I just can't listen to stand up anymore because one, I don't want it to influence me, and two, it like doing stand up has ruined stand up for me because I'm just analyzing it. I'm just like, okay, he's setting it up in this way, so can I figure out where he's going? And I'm just constantly in my own head and I'm not enjoying it anymore.
It's like the difference between like watching a game and then being like the coach on the sidelines, you know what I mean? Or being somebody who's just like, I know what they're doing, I know what they're setting up, but like some of the magic is lost in between it.
And so what's your, because I get different answers with this question. What's your ultimate goal with stand up?
I don't know, because like I don't want to say it's like it's not really fame. Like I want to be a well-known comic, but that's not why I got into comedy, just to be well-known or to be like even just rich. I just like the idea of being better than I was the last time I got up on stage, right? Like this is a new skill that I'm trying to like, I guess master. I would say mastery is like the end goal for me. Like I want to be able to go on stage no matter where I am in the world and be able to like, this is work, and then just kill it. You know what I mean? But like I don't know. I'm competitive by nature, but like comedy to me is like, comedy, if I had to put it into like a competitive sport, is like cross country. Like we're not racing each other. We're all racing the time, right? Like that's long marathons runner. Like you might do a marathon or you might do your cross country. Let's say it's 3 miles, whatever. You might do it in like 15 minutes, right? But that's your time. Now the guy in front of you probably did it in 12 or the guy behind you did it in like 18. But it doesn't really matter because all you're trying to do is best your time. So like if I see somebody like I've seen plenty of people that are funnier than me. And then, like, and my goal is like I need to catch up to where they are, but I'm also kind of like I want to get better than them too. But it's all coming from a place of just like I want to be able to master myself so that like, you know, we all get up on stage, we try to say something, it doesn't come out right. We trip over our words, we forget things. Like I've had complete jokes that's just like, especially because I don't read them as I'm on stage, so I'm not looking at my phone. So if I forget something, fuck. All right, I just gotta keep going with it. So that's kind of like my end goal. My end goal is to master comedy to a degree where I feel so comfortable that it doesn't matter what venue, what stage that I'm doing, that I can go up there and knock it out. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. Like anything past an hour is just overkill. Like I'm never gonna. If I 30 minutes feels like a long time. But
just
like,
do a Dave Chappelle and fucking 4 hour sets,
bro.
You know,
I don't know. That's what makes it one of the great. Like who the fuck can just sit on stage for 4 hours and still keep the crowd's attention after an hour and a half?
I've done 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes is the longest I've ever done. You know, and that feels like an eternity. Just standing up there, you're like, I have to keep you wanting to listen to me for 10 whole minutes.
That's it.
Like, sit in a corner by yourself and count out 10 minutes. It's fucking long.
Yeah, no, bro. Like it's but those are the grinding steps, right? We start off at 5 minutes, then we get to 10, and then like I did 10 minutes at the Artisan last night, and I was just like, this felt about like I felt like I was. It was about 10. It was about 10 minutes. Like I got to the point where I was like, I did this joke, and I was getting ready to launch into another semi-long one. That's when I got the light. I was like, okay, that was about 10 minutes. So I just like BS'd a little bit for like 30 seconds, then gave it back.
That's good because like after doing 5-minute sets for so long, you know about when 5 minutes you know hits. Like you're going through and you're like, okay, I've been talking for what feels like 4 minutes. You get the light and you're like, oh yeah, I got it.
Your sense of timing is that's all it is. It's like you're establishing that sense of timing. That's the word.
And that's why Wise Guys is so weird to me because you do these 5-10 minute sets and then you go there for 3 minutes. You get through 2 jokes, you look up and you're like, that's my time.
It's like I've got 5 seconds. All right, bye, folks. Like that's. I like Wise Guys because like they do have a legit crowd. The staff and everything is nice, very welcoming. But it's just like you said, 3 minutes. I'm not a 3-minute comic. Like I don't have like just like punchy jokes that I can just do in like 3 minutes. But
I'm the same. Like a lot of mine take a little bit of a setup. You know, a little bit of like get to know me, and then I'll hit you with this. And I feel like you're the same. You're a kind of stream of consciousness. Like you want to talk.
Yeah. Oh, I like setting up stories. Like, first I want to give you just a peek into my perspective, and then take you on a road that you didn't see coming. Like that to me feels like my brand of comedy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Damn. See, for me, I want to make enough money to live. Like that's my ultimate goal. Because I've been working since I was fucking 14 years old. And I'm fucking 26, almost 27 now. I'm done. I'm done with these 9-to-5 shit, man. Like I'm so over it now. And it's weird. Like some people don't feel that way. I talk to some people and they're like, "No, I love getting up in the morning. Like I want to do this. Like I don't want to, wonder when my next payment's gonna come."
Yeah.
I was like, I don't mind doing that, like, because I can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm definitely like people have a way of or some people anyway. You put their backs against the wall, and that's when they're at their best. That's how I feel. Like, every time I've taken a leap of faith on something that I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, I've always found a way to pull ahead or pull myself back to the point where I was before.
Yeah.
So like, but that's a noble thing. Like again, like if I can manage my somewhat meager lifestyle doing comedy, then I've won. Like that's it. I don't need
Like, I don't need to be famous. Like, I always compare it to Doug Stanhope. I don't know if you know who he is. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know who he is. But he's, in my eyes, the greatest comic of all time. And he's still alive now, but he lives off of comedy. He has his extremely loyal fan base. But he was doing his podcast one time, and he would just call up random fans. Like, he would go on their Facebook or whatever, or Instagram, and, like, phone call them. Dude is walking through the grocery store. He gets a call from Doug Stanhope, and he's, like, shitting his pants. And he goes, "God damn, nobody's ever going to believe it." And Stanhope goes, "I want you to walk up to 5 people. Ask them if they know who I am. If you get one person to say they know who I am, I'll fly you out to my little compound and we'll party."
No shit.
He goes up to everybody and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. And they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this goddamn Stanhope." And he's just laughing at him. He's like, "I told you, nobody knows who I am." But he's one of the greatest of all time in my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I want to be. Like, I want to live off of stand-up, have a loyal fan base, but otherwise be unrecognizable.
I think that's a good place to be, like, especially in this climate, because, like, if you get too much exposure, there's a certain chance that you're gonna, like, especially as comedians, there's a certain chance that you're gonna say some shit that's gonna piss somebody off, and the next thing you know, you're done, son. That is it. That shit's happened out here in Vegas from a couple of stories that some people have told me they've been on the scene for a while. There are comics that just can't come around no more because they lost the crowd. They posted something stupid online and they got canceled. But I don't know how big the cancellation goes, right? Is it just Vegas canceled or
Probably just Vegas canceled.
That's what I mean. But like it's once you have that reputation, then you're kind of stuck with it. You gotta hope it's ambiguous enough that people can like see your side of the story. But
see, I won't mention the comic's name, but there is a comic in the scene that I heard that his first time ever on stage, he dropped the N-bomb.
No stuff.
And I was like, "Get out of here. Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he just got it out of the way.
Just got it out of the way.
I was like, "What? Are you fucking insane?" But he still comes around. I still see him all the time, man. And I'm like, "You out of your fucking mind."
I mean... Niggas can be funny, but you gotta have a way of delivering. Like if you're not black and you drop that N-bomb, you better be fucking on point with that joke, because like that's the only way anybody will get past. Yeah, he said it, but goddamn, was it funny? Like I feel like that's the only pass you could get.
Like who was it? Louis C.K. had a bit where he dropped the N-bomb, and it was brilliantly done, and nobody had a problem with it.
Well, it was just like he went there and it worked. I think Bill Burr tried at one point too, and it just didn't work. But he didn't do it in such a disrespectful way that people hated him forever for it. It was just kind of like, all right, I used it. That joke doesn't work. That's fine. I'm just gonna back off. We'll never do it. We'll never do it again.
Gotcha. I feel like people were like, I see what you were trying to do.
Yeah, as long as it's tasteful, like there's a chance you can pull out of that tailspin and still survive. But nobody wants to fly through that hurricane, man. Like that's a hard hurricane to fly through.
See, because I had a bit that I was doing for a little while that I danced around it. You know, I was talking about like, being white, wanting to sing along with rap, and it was just kind of periphery, and then like one of the bits or one of the jokes is like, I'm sitting in the car listening to some Biggie Smalls, to the song Juicy, want to sing along with the chorus, and I have to go, "If you don't know, now you know." And like I avoid it in that way, and it killed one time
Yeah.
at Noreen's. There
Yeah.
was a bunch of comics from Texas, like Otis Hicks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like him and his group. They were sitting in the back and they were fucking loving it. And then I've tried it several different times after that,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't work the same. And it's like, I don't know why, because
Yeah.
I don't change anything. Like after it killed that one time,
Yeah.
I don't change it.
You just
know?
kept it as it was.
I kept it as it was, but it still doesn't go anywhere. I did it at Dive Bar, and fucking Randall just goes, "Get the fuck!" Like, how dare you? Like, but then Bruce Purcell, he told me, he was like, "Dude," he was like, "There's something there."
Yeah.
He was like, "It seems like it's too advanced for you. Sit on it for a little while." And I was like, "Okay, that's probably one of the best advice like I've ever gotten."
Just wait, like put it in your back pocket,
Yeah.
and come to it later.
Yeah, because I'm always worried about that. Is like if I burn through a good premise,
Yeah.
too early in my career where I'm not advanced enough to know how to handle it.
I get you.
And so, but that was a really good advice where I'm like, okay, I could sit on that for a little while.
I mean, it makes sense. And the good thing about being an open micer is like, you don't really burn, like the premises that you have, even though all the other comics know them, most of the open mic crowd don't know them. So when you finally make it to a stage where it's like a bigger stage or you're getting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, you can still bring up old stuff that you did months ago. And it's like, they haven't heard this shit. And I know it like the back of my hand. So,
and as you get better, like as I've gotten better, I've tweaked bits.
Yeah.
Like some that worked pretty well when I first started.
Yeah.
That now, like a year and a half in, I've brought them back and, you know, reworded it a little bit. And now they do really well. And it's just because now I'm like, okay, I know why it wasn't working.
There you go.
Like I had that bit about like white people like don't know how to cook.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I heard that bit.
You know, that fucking Jeffrey Dahmer thing.
Yeah.
And then, but when I was setting up the stereotype, I would say, you know, white people put ketchup on everything. And then talked about the photo of ketchup in Jeffrey Dahmer's thing.
Yeah.
And I realized that saying ketchup in the beginning shoots the punchline in the foot because you're mentioning it already.
Because you already know what's coming.
Exactly. But then when you say they can't cook, then you bring up ketchup and they're like, oh yeah, white people can ketchup, you know?
That's it, man.
But it's just those little things that you don't realize when you're starting out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you're letting them draw their own conclusion. Like white people can't cook. They always put ketchup on everything. And then like you didn't have to say it, but it's in their head. So when you bring it up later, like, oh yeah, I see that. That's accurate. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Even Jeffrey Dahmer the cannibal.
Yeah.
Like that's good shit, man.
And that's another thing. And I don't know if you struggle with this. It's like if you have a good bit, it's like expanding on it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like trying to make more out of just this little bit, you know? Because I have that, even just the Jeffrey Dahmer bit. Yeah. It's like, that's hilarious just as like almost like a one-liner, two-liner.
Yeah.
But can I make it more?
Yeah.
And like you never know how to. You know, or at least me, it's like, how do I make this more? Because I always revert back to this is the funniest punchline I'm going to think of.
Yeah.
And so if I try to expand on it, I could fuck it up.
No, I get that. Like for me, I try to just lean into everything like 100. Like if I get a premise, then like if I like you said, the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, right? Like I'll start off, if I do a premise and I see it worked and it's just that one liner, then I just try to think about every absurd situation that goes in. Like I know it sounds kind of like trying to get out the box inside your own head. Yeah. But it's like I just lean into it. It's like, what about that is funny? Like, what extreme did I go to, or what thing did I hit on that makes it that way? And so I just try to think about like different things within the same context to kind of like bring it all together. But I see a lot of people who don't do that. Like they'll bring something up just purely for the shock value. Like, and that's kind of what it is sometimes, right? Like you throw like most one-liners that I've heard, at least, you know, around, is like shock value stuff. It's like, oh my God, did he just say that? That's hilarious. Yeah. And then they just move on. But it's like there's always something more buried beneath. But that's why comedy is such a perspective thing, because it's like what's awkward for you could be awkward for the crowd, or like you know, something they can relate to, and then it just makes it funnier. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like expanding, I try to expand on everything I throw up there. Like if I throw up something, I'm like, I don't know this premise at all. I'm gonna go home after I listen to my set and just try to think about other things that could relate to it, or an easier transition like out of it. So they don't even realize like we're on the subject. Then we just get like a little bit further away with each next line, and then the next thing you know, we're on something else.
Gotcha.
No.
And like, have you ever like in this time of doing comedy, have you like read books or listened to people who, you know, explain the structure of jokes and stuff like that?
I got a book from a friend. I couldn't tell you the name off the top of my head. I have it's like an ebook. He sent it to me, so I always have like the PDF and stuff. But I realized like I was reading the book and I was just like, the first thing he talked about was like the different reasons for laughter. That's good information to have, right?
Yeah.
Like why do they laugh? What is it that triggers that laughter? That's good information to have to
Mhm.
keep in your back of the head. But then like when it starts getting down to like how you can like try these type of jokes or try to write a joke that uses this trigger or a joke that uses this trigger. Like I never really got through it. It's more like I glance at the book every now and again if I'm feeling stuck. Like I'll read like, well, what are some other things that we can do?
Yeah.
But I've not sat down and read it cover to cover. I don't.
Okay.
It's not something I've referenced. Like I've probably looked at it twice in the past 3 months. Like it's not something
Really?
that I've like. Because again, like when you're reading it's like a how to do comedy book, right? Like if you're reading this book from somebody who already made it, then like that's their brand of comedy. They might have done more research into it to see other people's things, but this is their perspective on what makes other people funny.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it could work, and there's some things in there that work for everybody, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's just like if I feel like I already got where I want to go and what I'm doing, then it's mostly just like hammering it out. Like, all right. So my thing is like when I do stand up comedy, my thing is this: like I don't necessarily write anything because I'm very good at like knowing what I want to say, how I want to say it, and if something works, I always got it on. Like I said, I record everything, so the
Yeah.
audio is there if I ever need to come back to it. But for me, I kind of see myself perform before I perform. So like I can visualize and see like what I want to say when I get up on stage and how I see it playing out. And then I just try to match that to like my reality. Like I already know what I want to say before I hit the stage.
Yeah.
Can I remove that barrier of like stumbling over it, emphasizing what I want to emphasize, and really just like getting out of my own head to do it?
Okay.
Yeah, I know it sounds it.
It's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of similar to the people who say that they write on stage.
Yeah.
Like I go up there with maybe a rough idea or
That's
nothing,
it.
and I just talk.
Yeah.
For me, I can't do that.
Uh,
Like I get really, I don't know. I get real caught up in my head
Yeah.
because like I'm the type of person. If you look at my notebook,
Mhm.
it's written out verbatim on how I
So
perform it.
everything you got it like word for
Exactly.
word, it's out there.
And like now, like I could have written it down initially,
Yeah.
like verbatim. Now I performed it a couple times and I've changed a couple words in there.
Yeah.
And I have it on recording so I remember it, you know? But it's like I'm that way. Like I have to know how I'm going into it,
Yeah.
how I'm setting it up, where the punchline is.
You
To
like
go
to-
in blind is terrifying for me. And I've been trying to do it recently, but not with just my thoughts. Like
Yeah.
I address the crowd.
Yeah.
I do a lot of crowd work now because it helps me think quicker on my feet,
Yeah.
you know, when I'm, you know, engaging with somebody. But that's easier to me
Yeah.
because they're going to give me a prompt and then I can riff off of it.
There you go.
That's a lot easier for me.
No, it's
But I'm somebody who like even when I'm at work,
Mhm.
you know, I'm doing my shit, I'm listening to music or podcasts or whatever, and if I have a thought, I have to write it down or
Otherwise.
else I'll completely forget it. So it's like that's why I always have notes. I always have notes on my phone and everything because if it wasn't written down,
Yeah.
then I would have never remembered it. And like that blows my mind that I never see you with anything like referencing anything. It's like he's fucking got his comedy fucking hour playing in his head
That's
and he's
it.
like, I got it.
That's why when people like it's kind of hard for me to like talk to people about before I go on stage sometimes because I'm in my head like I know this is what I'm going to say, this is what I'm saying, this is what I'm going to do, and like if I start talking to people then it's like I can grab it back, it just takes me out of my focus.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes I'm like
Because
very
then you're thinking about that conversation.
exactly now I'm
Yeah.
engaged in this and I'm not thinking about that, or I'm not giving the conversation its due because like I'll sit there and talk to you and the next thing you know I'm zoning out and trying to come back to see what you guys are saying. Wow.
Yeah.
But no, I guess I'm the opposite way because like I look at it like it's like making an omelet, right? You got to break eggs to make an omelet. So I don't know being so new. I don't know what's gonna work. So I
Yeah.
just throw everything out there and then just scrape up what's left and try to salvage it from that. But it's also like it's good to have the other thing because like the first time I ever felt like I really really bombed in front of a crowd was at Bloom, like when I was hosting the show down there.
Okay.
So just to give you some back, I've never blamed the venue or anything else for like me bombing or doing anything bad like that. But like we get there, the room we're supposed to perform in is closed. So it's like, all right, we got to move these chairs to this other room. And keep in mind, this is like an hour before the show is supposed to start. So I'm like, fuck. All right, whatever. So we get the chairs, we start moving things over. 30, 45 minutes, we got the room set up. Actually, we're going to start a little bit later. So, you know, we're going to push it back another hour because there's no crowd here. There's nobody here for it. And they got another event going on. So we're fucking around. We're doing all this stuff. I'm getting pulled to do other things, like make sure this is there, bring this in there, make sure we have no chairs. And then, like, through all of that, I don't have a chance to really, like, focus on what I want to say or do anything. And then at the last minute, when I finally start to get myself comfortable in the room and where I'm going to be standing, what I'm going to be doing, he's like, hey, we're going to just do it on the main floor in the restaurant and just, like, we're going to be in front of, like, these people sitting and eating and drinking. I'm just like, so we've changed the venue twice. We've changed the start time. And now it's just like, the DJ didn't even show up. So there was no music. So now he just hands me a microphone. He's like, all right, well, when the music cut, just start talking. And I
Now
like
you just interrupt all these people in the middle of
bro,
a meal.
bro, it was savage. So like the worst part was we interrupt them in the middle of the meal. I do my thing, like, hey everybody, welcome to the left, comedy show at Bloom. How you guys feeling tonight? And then after that, my mind just goes blank. Like there was nothing. Nothing that I remembered. Even the stuff that I thought I had in my back pocket was just gone. And I think I spent like a solid 5 minutes just being like, oh shit. You know what I mean? So like it's definitely a benefit to have I'll call it a safety net. So like you have something that's written out, you know it, you can probably recite it in your sleep, like you know how it's supposed to go, you know it. Like I feel like my brand of comedy is a mix between having that written structure, like some of the jokes that I've come up with within the past maybe like 3 weeks. I know them. Like I've just spent the last week doing the same set. You know me, I don't ever really try to repeat the same set over and over again. So I hammered it out this week, and now I have like a little safety net. So like now, whenever I fall back, like if I go blank again, like I don't know where to riff, I know how to get into like this one written joke, and then hopefully from there it springs me back up.
Damn. See, and that's the weirdest thing. I've never gone blank.
No?
Like I've never completely forgot what I was talking about. I've had points where I forgot like a wording or like the punchline.
Yeah.
Like so I set up a joke and then I was like, shit.
How did this end again? Like
and then I remember because I was at the Silver Nugget.
Yeah.
And I'm standing up there. It was some dumb like one-liner and I set it up and then I freeze for a minute and I go, shit. And then I see my girlfriend out there. She's trying to like fucking sign language me what the punchline is. I'm like, I don't know. And I just acknowledged it. I was like, I completely forgot that fucking shit. Yeah. But I've seen people fucking blank.
Yeah.
Like I was at Silver Nugget, and this dude went up. He went up right before I did.
Yeah.
Goes up there. He has 5 to 7 minutes that they usually give you.
Yeah.
He does like a minute of material, and then he goes, shit, like, let me check my notes or whatever. He pulls out his phone, which I assume has all the notes.
Right.
But he doesn't, like, I guess he can see, like, oh, it's fucking titties.
Right.
But he doesn't know where he wanted to go with it. So he's just staring at his phone for, like, another 30 seconds.
Damn.
And then he just goes, all right, guys, I'm out of here. And I was like, holy
So he just bailed on it.
He just bailed completely. And that was shocking to me. Because I've never seen that happen. Like, he had 5 minutes. He did 1 minute, another minute and a half of just stumbling. And then he just bailed. I was like, holy shit, how do you do that? Like,
I mean, it's an open mic, so I guess it's like it's not really like the worst thing that can happen, but that's numero uno for me. Numero uno for me is like no matter what happens on that stage, if I'm up here for 5 minutes, I'm up here for 5 minutes. Like that, I got to put in the full amount of time. Like, you just got to like if you fall, you just got to like pick yourself up and just dust yourself off and get back again. But I've never that's my one thing. Like if I'm bailing on a joke is one thing. It's like, all right, this ain't working. Let me just move on to something else. But like, don't just bail on your entire set. Like,
no,
take the time.
Yeah, that looks rough. But I've seen that dude later kill.
No,
like,
definitely
kill hard.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like definitely.
So I'm like, God damn, man. Like, how do you? Like, I don't know. And that was always my biggest fear.
Yeah,
because I've never been a very one social person or two like center of attention.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in school, if you called on me to read or present something, I was very, talking real soft and just trying to get through it so we could get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so that's been the biggest thing that I had to get over was the stage fright, having everybody look at me.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear was freezing.
Because being stuck up there like.
Exactly. And so, like, even my first time, I remembered all the jokes that I wanted to do. I did them. It was at Noreen's.
Yeah.
And I did everything. Got a couple chuckles. Got off stage, but I was riding a high at that point. I was like, holy shit, I just did that. Yeah. And I didn't freeze. Like, but to freeze up scares the shit out of me. Damn. And I don't think it can happen now.
No?
I don't think so. I think I'm at that point now to where, like, even if I forget a joke, I can just bail on it, go to some save stuff, or go to the crowd.
You got your confidence up, and like you've got some tools in your pocket to get you out of that situation.
Yeah.
No.
It's like I have very early recordings of me where I'm just powering through material, and I just cannot listen to it.
It's rough, man. Those first couple of months of doing comedy were definitely the roughest thing to hear.
It makes my skin crawl. Yeah. Like, all I want to do is be an audience member and just be like, get off the stage, you fuck.
Like plenty of times, like, what the fuck was I thinking? Where was I even going with this? Like, this is just nah. But I feel like everybody has to go through that. Like you said, it's it's like it's like the merit badges that you get for your badges of honor, right? Like you gotta go through those things. You gotta like bond. You
Yeah.
gotta like fucking freeze up or have a rough set. Otherwise, you don't like. It makes me wonder sometimes though. Like that's why I was thinking about like what makes people like the people in our community like what drives people to do certain things. Because like
Yeah.
some of the people in our community have been doing it for like a few years now, like a couple of years, and I'm like, again, like they've got some funny stuff, but it's like, where do you want to go? Because sometimes I wonder, like, are you working on something? Or are you just chilling? Like, how did like I don't know. I guess I don't know everybody's work ethic.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be like, I don't know. I get the feeling that sometimes I have this reputation of being like an elitist. I don't know where it
Really?
comes from, if I'm just in my head about it. But like sometimes, like I'm a people watcher. It's what I
Yeah.
do. So sometimes I peep these things that just kind of like it's the nuances that take place in the background around these comedy shows. And sometimes I wonder, is like, how do people see me? Like, how does like I don't know how the other comics actually see me.
Yeah.
Like, I had that bit of trouble with that producer that I was working with,
Yeah.
and that kind of put me in a bad light for a little bit. But I just kept powering through because, like, to me, like it was an opportunity to do something.
Yeah.
But like now that it's all over, and now that I'm being like kind of in the scene and around people again, like I'm wondering, like, how do you guys see me? Do you guys see me as somebody who's like holier than thou? Is it like the talking thing, or is it just more like I'm just another comedian, which is just fine? But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like people look at me and they're just like, oh, this dude's like trying to be super serious, like he's trying to make it out here. He's trying to like like he thinks he's gonna just like knock it out of the park one day and be up on stage. But
Yeah.
isn't that why we all do this? Like that's my thing. Like, aren't we all hoping that somebody in that audience connects with us and just like, hey man, I want you, even if it's just like a new show for like 15 minutes that
Yeah.
it's another venue, gets you more exposure. Like, isn't that what we're all going
Yeah.
for? Like,
It seems like at this point where we all are, like we're just all trying to get booked, right?
right.
Like,
And that's like I'm
that's the
8 months
goal.
in. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be feeling this way already, but I'm just confident in what I have, and I feel like I can
Yeah.
do like at least a solid. I can do 10 minutes. 15 might be some bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I've only done like that twice, and one went pretty well, and the other one maybe not so much. But but what are we? I'm always trying to build towards the next. Like, there's goals I set for myself that I always try to build towards. I'm just like,
Yeah, and I think you may have this like thought process of like, how do they see me?
Yeah.
Because you're constantly watching people and,
Yeah.
silently judging.
Not-
not judging in the bad sense,
Yeah.
but like you have an idea. Like if I threw out a name right now,
Yeah.
you'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's like this. He's kind of like this. I had this conversation."
Yeah.
You
I've got references for people. Yeah, but it's
I'm
like,
the same way.
Yeah.
Because I don't socialize with people a lot when I'm at these places.
Yeah.
Like I'll sit down maybe with one other comic or, two,
Yeah.
and we'll shoot the shit a little bit. But otherwise I'm checking my notes, or if my girlfriend's there, like I'm talking to her, but I'm very,
Yeah.
closed off.
It's like
you
outside
know?
looking in kind of thing, because all these people
Yeah.
have known each other for like the past couple of years at least. I
Yeah.
think everybody who's tight knit in the Las Vegas community has been around for at least like 2 years, or they at least a year straight where they just know each other.
Yeah.
But it's like I wouldn't call it clicky. We all have our communities, I guess.
It is very clicky.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah. If we're just gonna be honest, it's kind of clicky. 'Cause
It
like
is.
one week you fall on one side of the camp, the other week you're on the other side. Like it's
Yeah.
it's just like it's kind of much for me. I was never that way in like
Yeah.
school or work.
Yeah. And I've always been the same way. I've always been the outcast.
Yeah.
That, sitting on the sideline looking in,
Yeah.
judging everybody.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know. I hear the story from snippets because people like spilling their tea. So I hear things. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess. But like, just a week ago, you guys were all on somebody else's case, and you guys were allies, and now all of a sudden you're not friends. All right.
But yeah, I always think about that too, because like one time I walked into Noreen's,
Yeah.
and this was when I was on a string of just bombing all the time. Like I couldn't, get my footing. I was trying to work out some bits that weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I walked into Noreen's, and Ian walked in like right behind me, and he goes, "Hey, Antonio, you gonna be funny tonight?" And it's a joke, like he's
But it's still, like,
busting my balls, but I'm
yeah.
a sensitive comic,
Yeah.
so I just went, "Fuck you, bro!" Like
Yeah.
not to him, but it was just that feeling. I
fuck.
was like, "Go fuck yourself." Then I went up there with that kind of, venom,
Yeah.
and I did really, really well that night. And then when I got off stage, Ian even said it. He was like, in his microphone, he was like, "I even asked if he was gonna be funny tonight," and he fucking did it. But it's like this shit, like, because I love Ian.
Yeah.
But after
Ian's
him,
a cool dude.
after him saying that to me, I look at him with a side eye. I'm like, "I'm gonna bring it tonight, you motherfucker."
Come in with a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what we need sometimes.
Definitely.
Like, I feel like Ian is one of those producers where he's like, "I'm not going to give you what you want,
Right.
but I'm going to push you to get what you need," which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, doing these mics, they do harden you up a little bit.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
even though we all want an audience.
But we always have an audience. You know what I mean? Like, it's always,
Yeah.
even if it's just like one or two people, like, if you can get one or two people, like, the non-comics at the bar, like, it's always good to, like, get the comedians to laugh, but, like, come on, it's like getting your coworkers to laugh. You know what I mean? It doesn't help me necessarily with the job.
Yeah.
But, like, if you can get the audience, just, like, 2 or 3 people to remember you and shit like that, then that's a success.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a success. Like, that's why I don't shit on any spot necessarily unless they do me wrong or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna shit on any spot for like what crowd you bring in.
Yeah.
If you can get 5 people in there and 5 people are paying attention to like a whole comedy hour, or how many, like 30 comedians sign up, that's like what, 2 hours or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But like, if you can get them to sit there and they enjoy themselves, and you get on stage and they enjoy your set and they clap, then that's all I really need to do. Like, everything else just kind of fades away.
Yeah, and I would say that, like, I'll never shit on any mics around here, but I always shit on the dive bar. I even went up to Randall one time. Like, I went up to the dive bar, and I hadn't been there in months, and I was like, I fucking hate this place. He goes, why? I was like, motherfucker, you know why? Like, this is terrible. He goes, I know. Like, what do you want me to do? But he told me the same thing. He was like, this is where you come. Like, and usually I only go to the dive bar if I do well at Free Zone.
Yeah, I get you.
If I do well there, I'm like, okay, let me go bomb over there so I know I'm not
humble
hot
myself
shit.
real quick. I was talking about that with a couple other people, and it was just funny to me. Like, all right, so like I'm not like super judgmental or stuff like that, but it's always funny to me when somebody comes off the road and like, oh yeah, we're coming from like fucking Texas, New York, coming from all over. Like, I've made people laugh in great shows all over the place, and then you come to the dive bar and you don't get any, like, you come to a place where like there's not a lot of people and you don't get the reception that you think you deserve, or they're not laughing at the jokes that you think that you know are funny. Like, it's funny to me because like they instantly just start, most of the time, not everybody, most of the time they just start shitting on the crowd, like, oh, like, you guys don't know comedy, or you guys don't. I'm like, nah, bro, it's just like, this isn't the audience for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you always use, like, dive bar is the place you go to humble yourself, because like, no matter what you do at the dive bar, it's a chance that no one's listening, no one's paying attention. You just got to remind yourself, this is what it was like starting out. Like, if you didn't go through that starting out, I kind of feel bad for you, because like the first time it happens in front of an actual audience, it's got to be fucking devastating. But that's why now I feel comfortable. Like, if I go into a room and it's just like I'm the first comic there, or like one of the last, and the only people left in the audience is like the bartender and one other patron, I'm comfortable. Like, fuck it, this is how most of my sets have gone anyway, right? Like, I'm just gonna deliver my stuff, hope they laugh, interaction, and go for it. But
and I heard a story. Some comic was telling me a story about a comic he came up with. Now, this guy that I'm talking to is like maybe 4 or 5 years in.
Okay.
And he was like, I came up with this one dude who, from day one, he killed. Everywhere he went, he fucking destroyed.
No shit.
He was like, then him and I were doing a show together, and everybody bombed, including this guy.
Right.
And he quit comedy
just right after that. He's like, nope, I can't take that.
Yeah, and like that was his reason. He was like, I just can't take that feeling and like what it did to me. And so he quit comedy. I was like, dude, holy shit! Like, if you kill for that long in the beginning, fucking, you got something. Like,
everybody, even Dave Chappelle, who did come out killing in the beginning, according to like every other comic that he was around in New York, Sarah Silverman, all those people from his generation, they were like, this bro came in and fucking just
murdered,
hit home runs out of the park every time at bat. Even he's had a bad show though. Like, you can't. That can't be the thing that breaks you.
Dude, that's why I'm glad I bombed so hard in the beginning. Is because it hardens you up a little bit, and if you want to keep coming back, then bombing is nothing.
No, that's what I mean. Like, I was actually like, when I first started comedy, I was ambitious enough, and like, I thought too highly of myself. I was like, what if I just start doing really well? That was actually scary to me. Like, if I came and started doing comedy and only like 2 months in, people were always like, this guy's fucking amazing. I'm scared as shit because I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know, like, I'm getting people to laugh and I don't know why it's working. That's the scariest thing to me, because like, I can understand why I failed. Like, I can scrutinize the shit out of that. Understanding why I succeeded and I have no idea as of why is fucking, that is daunting. That is fucking daunting. So like, if I ever got on a streak where like people were just like, you're doing great, and I'm just like, I haven't written any of this down. I don't know what I'm doing with it. Like, I'm going to stop. Like, I'm going to take a step back, go listen to that shit and try to get my, like, I can't succeed too fast, or I'm going to go to a place where I know, like, the dive bar. Like, I'm gonna go to the dive bar. I'm gonna just be like,
just
all
to
right,
make sure,
please, because if you motherfuckers are like making me like making you laugh here and I don't know why, then that's a bigger problem. Like, I need to read more books. Like,
and like, have you ever gotten that thing where, you know, you do a bit somewhere and it does really well and it hits in all the spots that you think it's gonna hit, and then you go somewhere else and it either doesn't hit at all, or they laugh at different parts of the joke.
It's like they laugh at the setup, but the punchline doesn't hit as hard. In other places, like, they don't laugh at anything until the punchline hits, and then some places they're just laughing all the way through. It's got to be like a mix of it's got to be just like the demographics of the crowd, man. Like, you know, I've heard from non-black comics they're playing a black room. It's either really, really hard or it's really, really easy. There's
Yeah.
never been an in between where they're just like, oh no, it's just a black room. It's
Yeah.
either like, oh, it's a black room, or oh, it's a black room. So it's gonna be great.
Dude, I've played enough at
Yeah.
this point because religiously I go to places like Silver Nugget,
Yeah.
Urban Lounge.
Urban Lounge,
Like
yeah.
I seek these places out.
Cork and Thorn when it was still
Cork and
going.
Thorn,
Yeah.
yeah. And then this place on fucking Thursdays that I've been doing.
Yeah,
like,
Lucky's. Yeah.
It's these places that a lot of the regular comics you see at these open mics don't go there.
No, not at all.
And it's like because they know it's like, you know, I'm a white comic with fish puns.
Yeah.
It's like, is that going to be okay in front of a black audience? Like,
I mean, black people
could.
Yeah,
Like-
you don't know until you try. Like if you've bombed in front of a black crowd, don't let that be the thing that stops you from going in front of another one, right? Like,
But like I've had some of my best sets in front of a black crowd, and some of my weirdest and worst bombs in front of a black crowd.
Yeah.
Like I've told this story on the podcast, so I'll go through it quick.
Yeah.
I was at Urban Lounge, going through my material,
Mhm.
shit isn't hitting. There's one black dude in the back who just every time I hit a punchline and it goes nowhere, he just goes, "Fuck him." And it caught me so off guard that I didn't know what to do with it. And so it went from like worst bomb because I didn't know what I was doing,
Mhm.
and then I addressed it because I did a joke,
Yeah.
and he didn't say anything, and like it felt like the crowd was waiting for him to say something too. So I just
Yeah.
go, "Fuck
Fuck 'em?"
him,"
Yeah.
like fuck him. Like I thought we were doing this,
right.
and then it got the entire crowd on my side, and so it was like, holy shit to okay, I
Okay,
got it.
that's
it. But like a black crowd will give you that.
Yeah,
you know,
they'll usually throw something at you to be like, I thought it was funny, even if
Yeah.
like I might not be laughing, but fuck them, keep
Yeah,
going. Like
fuck 'em.
they'll do that, man. But that's what I love about it. Like if you can get one member of the crowd, and I feel like every audience likes engagement to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not in a crowd of like 1,500 people. We're usually in front of a crowd of maybe like 30 to 50, maybe 50 being the most
max.
like I've ever seen
Like,
a place
that's
where
gotta
it's
be
just
a great
Yeah.
crowd.
Noreen's like in the summertime was kind of like that sometimes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
yeah.
you go in and it's just like a fucking packed house. Like there are comics there, but their friends are there and everybody like so you know you got a good. But most times it's like 15, 20 people and that's it. But like crowds of that size, I think especially at Urban Lounge, they like the engagement. Like if you can go in and start like, and I feel like that's a mistake that I've made, and it's a mistake I've seen other. Well, I don't know if it's a mistake because it can work and it can also not work.
Yeah.
That's why I think every comic needs flexibility because like if you just go in and you just hammer out your set, right?
Yeah.
If it's not hitting, then like the premises that you're working with isn't going to work for this crowd. Like, but I've seen people go their entire 5 minutes just like, this is the set I'm doing, not changing anything. If you don't laugh, fuck you. I know it's funny, and then just go through.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm always like, if I start doing my set and the premises aren't working, then I'm looking for something in the crowd. Like, all right, you guys aren't reacting to that. The complete opposite of what I just said has to be true because if you're not laughing at this, that means it's your truth. So really, I'm going to be like, okay, so nobody in here has had to slap a child before, like you know what I mean? And that it's usually awkward enough because they can see like, oh, we didn't laugh at the other thing, so now he's kind of like making fun of us for not laughing at him. So you kind of turn it back, you get a little bit of laughter, and then you can just kind of like, well, for me, I try to like transition to another thing after that. But like smaller crowds seem to like that kind of engagement.
Yeah, and that's why. Like I've seen people snap at hecklers in a small crowd and just fucking tear them up.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody else weird about it because they're like, there's only a few of us in here. Bro, like I know that guy.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've seen too. Like how to handle a heckler. Like I've seen and I've heard different theories on it. Like just tear them to fucking pieces to make nobody ever want to do it again. Yeah. But then I've seen it at some of these open mics where they do that, and it's like, and that's the thing with open mics too. I think that kind of works in our detriment for sometimes because like when one person has a premise that works, not to say that we definitely have like that comedy vibe, right? Somebody described it to me as like we're all kind of like hitting the same wavelength because we're all watching the same shows. We're on these networks. Yeah. Sometimes you think of something that's like, oh shit, no one said that. That's original. And then you come out to an open mic and 3 people have brought up the same premise. And you're just like, fuck me. Now I can't do it. Otherwise, it's just going to be like the same thing. But it's the same thing with hecklers. Like I've seen, and this is at like plenty of different open mics. Some of them don't even like even a Taco Dive Bar, and that was not even here anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember being at Taco Dive Bar, and somebody up front said something, and like the first maybe 2 or 3 comics on the open mic. So the third comic comes up, he does his thing, he gets heckled by this guy, he snaps on him. Crowd's like, but it wasn't like uproarious laughter. It was just kind of like, okay, it's kind of funny. Yeah. Then the next comic comes up, and when they're starting to bomb, then they get on the heckler too, and it's just like, okay, now we're doing a callback to the like. This guy's not here. He's not going to, like, how long can you expect an audience to sit there and be abused for, like, 15 minutes? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if the first comic did it and the next comic did it and one after that, it's like, I can't, like if I want to do crowd work and I notice that somebody else has already done it, like I will instantly just like throw it out. Like I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't do it because then it just seems like I'm following his. It's not really me if somebody else brought it forward.
Yeah. And I mean, if you do it,
Yeah.
like have a joke that you thought of while you were sitting there,
Yeah.
open with it and move on.
That's it.
You know, it's like acknowledge it right off the bat. It's like, hey, you know, it's almost like a call to like, this comic should have done this joke.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to you. And then I'm not talking to this guy again.
That's it.
And you
Like
move
I'm
on.
out. I'm out. That's why that was the Wise Guys thing. This is what happened the past one. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I did at Wise Guys, man. Like we had a guy come up, we talked about some real shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, white comics, if you're using the N-word in your set or if you're just saying it to be a punchline, be careful because not
Yeah.
everybody's cool with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was funny because it got weird.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought he was going to go somewhere like
Yeah.
and make a joke with it.
Yeah.
But then he just preached for a little while and then moved on. And I even remember looking at you and you were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, like it was weird. So like if you're gonna address something, like he addressed it on stage, and I got no problem with like it's 3 minutes at Wise Guys on the
Yeah.
open mic. Do we like come on, man?
Yeah.
So I remember thinking though, like he spent a minute and a half preaching to the crowd, telling us a story about how he's been called nigger to be the only black guy at the show
Yeah.
before, and then immediately goes into nigger jokes after that. And I thought it was brilliant. Like at first I was like, okay, that's weird, but like I thought it was like, okay, you did transition into it. It just took you a minute and a half, then you
Yeah.
did like a minute of jokes, and then you're off stage.
Yeah.
But nobody else addressed it after that. Like
Uh-huh.
the next comedian didn't.
Well, Parker did.
He did.
When Parker went up, he was like, damn, I was going to drop the N-bomb.
Right.
And I goes, and this dude messed it up for me. Like, which I thought it was a good way to go with it.
Kind of, but that's what I mean. Like it worked because he only did that one thing. He was just like, oh, I was just gonna say the N word. And Parker's, well, he's white. Like that's not like it's just gonna make everybody awkward again. I'm not saying it was like it worked.
But as
though.
a comic,
Yeah,
that
shit was
it
hilarious.
makes you laugh
Yeah.
because you're like, you're an asshole. You know what you're doing. Like, of course, this crowd's not going to be with
No.
you. They all applauded this guy when he went on his rant.
Yeah,
Like,
I just love how it was just like that. Okay, this isn't what we signed up for, but like he's technically right. So
Yeah.
we're gonna clap anyway to
Yeah.
support him and everything. But no, so like if it happens on stage and you're in the crowd for it, then definitely bring it up. Especially if it's something that's just like it stands out to you as awkward, which means somebody else in that crowd probably feels the same way.
Yeah.
So like that's why I just went like Happy Black History Month, everybody. Like
Yeah.
first of all, like I'm at the end of the list nearly. No one's brought up Black History, so that's
Yeah.
automatically something I can do that's gonna be like, haha,
Nice.
it is happening. But he just happened to have a whole Black
Yeah.
History moment on stage. So
A Black
Fuck-
History moment.
it was like nothing makes it more awkward than when a black guy takes a stand because every other black guy is automatically like, we got to be on the same page
Yeah,
for this.
yeah.
But that's it. Like,
And I love that how you were like, he was talking about, he's the only black guy
Yeah.
here, and you're like,
nah,
I'm sitting back here.
I guess when a dark skin stands out, us
Yeah,
light
yeah.
skinned folks we don't count too much. But
it was fucking great. I was so surprised because you did like a minute and a half on that
Yeah.
shit, and I was like, God, like I'm sitting next to you the entire night, and you're just fucking, going through it, writing it down in your head, and
That's
then you
it.
go up there and you surprise the shit out of me.
it's in the computer, man. Like it's
Yeah.
all just I take a little bit of every, and that's why I love any advice that I could give to anybody. Watch your crowd, see what works, and see what they're going for because there's a way to fucking like bring your own voice to that perspective, or
Yeah.
you get comfortable enough, you can see what they're working with. You have supremacists in the back that you can bring up, and it's
Yeah.
going to work tonight.
And see, that's a weird thing too, because I've done that where I kind of watch a crowd,
Yeah,
see what everybody's doing on stage, see what works and what's not,
Yeah.
and tailor my set to it. There have been times where I was at the Silver Nugget and there's a group of older black ladies, like maybe 5 or 6 of them sitting at a table.
right.
Dennis was up there talking about like eating ass or something or getting his ass eaten. And they were kind of with him, but they were a little weirded out by it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, like one of the first jokes I'm going to is eating pussy on morphine. But so I just get up there and I power through it and they fucking loved it.
No shit.
And I was like, it's like one of those things, like sometimes you feel like you can read a room, but
Yeah,
like you
sometimes-
don't know what, you don't know what tickles them. you
That's
know?
true. No, reading a room is like that's a skill sharpened through experience though.
Yeah,
Like that's not
yeah.
something that if you're born being able to read a crowd, just being able to like know and see, then that's a fucking gift. But like I feel like everybody has had to sit and just like watch and listen, and then you kind of try more stuff out. Then you start to understand like this.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's whenever I'm in front of a predominantly black crowd, I've noticed my Jesus jokes don't usually hit that well because
Oh.
it gets a little touchy, right?
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
But I did same thing in front of a white crowd. I was like, Jesus, like no one gives Jesus credit for his body count, right? Like this man,
Yeah.
what carpenter doesn't use his tools? Clearly, he was hanging out with hookers, prostitutes, turning water into wine. He can bless away STDs. White
Yeah,
crowd
yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
Black crowd, don't talk about Jesus that
Yeah,
way. Like what?
yeah.
Come on, like this is. But that's my thing. Like
Yeah.
you just start to get an understanding for like maybe I came too hard with came too hard. Maybe I came at it too hard. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes I'll do things and it's just like I feel like it was truth, but it's too on the nose for it to
Mm.
be too funny. Like if
Yeah.
you laugh at this, like you're a borderline either atheist or like I've done some jokes with women that haven't hit well,
Yeah.
or you're a borderline like not masochist, what is it, chauvinist? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like okay, maybe that was too on the nose. Scale
Yeah.
it back a little bit. Maybe tell a little bit of a story to wrap around it, and then
Yeah.
go from there. But
And that's another thing. It's like you could find a black crowd
yeah,
who fucking loves that
love the shit
joke,
out of it.
you know,
Yeah.
because I have this joke where I say, you know, my buddy called me racist the other day because I told him I don't like to watch black guys in my porn. It's like, it's not the fact that he's black that I can't get into it.
Right.
You know, I could picture my dick in blackface.
Right, yeah.
That doesn't bother me. I've done it in front of like a black crowd before, and they just kind of like, maybe a couple people laugh, but
Yeah.
they were just like,
Eh.
all right, dude.
Yeah.
But then I've done it in front of like a mostly white crowd, and they got weird about it, but then the couple black guys sitting there fucking loved it. And so it's like, okay, like
Yeah.
how do you know? Like, because I like that joke. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty good, but
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's
it's such a weird fucking thing. And okay, let me ask you,
Yeah.
what is the weirdest thing that you've come across in comedy, like as a whole?
like the weirdest premise or the weirdest.
No, like just I'll give you my example. For me, the weirdest thing or the most unexpected thing
Yeah.
about comedy was all the people that you meet. Like
Yeah.
all the different comics. Like some are like 50, 60 years old.
Yeah.
Some of them are like 19. and
Yeah.
all walks of life. Like that was the thing that really weirded me out because I'm like, if you put all of us, you know,
Yeah.
in a grocery store, none of us are going to talk to each other.
No,
You
we
know?
would have never spoken if not for this one thing, which is
Exactly.
comedy bringing us together.
Exactly. But you put us all in a shitty bar together when
Yeah.
we're trying to make people laugh, and now we're all friends.
That's what I'm saying. Now we're all
Yeah.
the weirdest thing. I think it's the fact that I have to ask people to be on their show. I know that might sound entitled or might sound privileged, but I always felt like as an artist, like comedians are artists. Like that's what we are. Like what I'm
Yeah.
doing is I'm perfecting my craft. I'm working on my craft on stage in front of a crowd. It's just like a musician. Like we can practice by ourselves. I practice by myself at home. I'll say stuff out loud and see if it works, and
Yeah.
well, make sure I have it before
Yeah.
I go see if it works. But like I always figured like if you started doing enough open mics, like the people who run these open mics, the people who are watching, like once they start to see that you've developed something, they feel like you've earned that shot, that they would approach you.
Yeah.
It's very kind of off-putting to me because like I'm confident, but I don't know if I'm necessarily ready. The last
Yeah.
thing I want to do is come to somebody like half cocky, be like I can do this, and then get on stage and fucking eat ass or bomb. And you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's worse. But like it seems to me like I've had a lot of comics tell me kind of recently, like, man, start asking to get on these shows, and I'm just like, but
It's weird.
that's what I'm saying. Like, why though? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be like, because I've seen it happen too many times. Like, I am not the type of person that just goes to talk to somebody just because of the connections they can give me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm really awkward about it.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
and it's funny. I've started to like my girlfriend. She's this kind of like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like she'll talk to anybody. She'll ask him anything.
Yeah.
She has no shame. But it's like so I've started to bring her around. Like if I know somebody's gonna be there, I'm
Yeah.
like, go
talk
you
to
know,
this. Yeah, let's-
push your tits out a little
Yeah.
bit, get his attention, and then tell him to put me on the show.
Yeah. But that's one thing. Like, I don't. So remember when we were at Noreen's and we met that dude from Utah, right? The dude that was that does the shows and stuff like that, right? Like, I'm there because I'm like, okay, Delilah introduced me to him. You know, I know this
Yeah,
guy now,
yeah.
but it's like, I'm not gonna just be like, hey, bro, put me on your show. Like, I'm not. I honestly wanted to know more about him and a little bit about like the business he does, because like,
Yeah.
I'm not looking at you as just a producer. I'm looking at you as like, first of all, what kind of guy are you? Because you
Mm.
could be like, you're producing the show, but are you a shitty producer? Are you somebody that will fuck people over? Are you like shifty?
Yeah.
But the other thing is just like, I'm from Indiana, bro. Like any business deal we ever do or anything that's ever like that, you talk to them, you get to know them first, and then you start talking about business. There's that personal
Yeah.
get to know you, and then you talk business. Out here is just like business.
Just get to it.
Yeah, just get to
Yeah.
it. So
I mean, it was like Wednesday when I was doing the competition.
yeah,
I was hanging. Well, you were
Yeah.
there. We were hanging out with Adam and
Yeah.
Steve, and we're all talking. And then Adam kind of leans into me and he goes, "Hey, make sure you ask him, you know,
To get in.
if he could put you on the other shows." And I was like, "Okay." And then I didn't do it for a while.
Yeah.
And then we're all in the parking lot, you know, and we're about to leave. And, you know, Steve happens to get into the whole, like, you know, yeah, I do, you know, the competition once a month. And, you know, I'm trying to book for these other shows. And I was like, by the way, if you need anybody,
Right.
like keep me in mind, you know. But it was like it felt so weird to me because I'm just not that person to be like, yeah, can I be on your
Yeah,
show? But
please, like no,
I feel like if you see these people, because they're around here,
yeah,
like I have people that I don't like, that I don't think are funny,
yeah.
and they're getting on shows, and I'm like, how do they do it?
I'm like, I
They're
mean,
asking.
they are. I mean, closed mouths don't get fed. I believe that's the truth. It's just like I'm not gonna just launch into it. Like now
Yeah.
I've met Steve. We've had a conversation. We talked to him about stuff. The next time I see him, I'll probably ask him like, "Hey man, can I get on your stage at some point?"
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna do it the first time I meet you. I'm
Yeah.
not like if everyone's been telling me to go to the Laugh After Dark or the Dirty at 12:30, the one at South Point, and then the one at Stratosphere. And I'm like, go up there. That's how you get on stage. You go up, you show up enough times, and then you ask them, and then you get on stage. But it's like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like I'm good enough that I should just be able to post shit online and people just flock to me and be like, please come to our show. Like,
But you hope that it would happen that way.
It's-
That they see you kill one night and
one
they're
time.
like,
It's
dude.
finally happened one time.
Yeah, really?
One time. This Sunday, I got this show coming up, and it's because I had the show not this past this past Friday, not this Friday, but the Friday before last, like a week ago. I did a show. I ended up getting referred to this new thing that they were doing. They just do like a show like maybe once a month.
Okay.
So they were trying to get more comics out. I had Keem referred me to him. They got me on stage, and one of the comics that was on the stage with me, or who came up after me, he's also producing a show, and he's like, "Hey man, come do my show in 2 weeks." And I'm just like, "Bet." And that was the first time anybody's ever seen my set, and we're just like,
Nice.
"I want you to be on my show next." And I'm like, so it can happen. It's just like, it's got to be the stars have to align and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that to say that like I feel like I'm better enough. I should be like getting invited to every show. But like it just seems kind of weird to me that somebody who's putting out art has to be like, "Hey man, can I do my art in your display?" Even though you know what my performance is.
Yeah.
Either you think I'm good enough to be on your show and you're going to invite me, or I'm not good enough and you're not going to invite me. That's usually how I take it. Like,
and that's how I feel when I do ask for a show.
Yeah.
And somebody goes, "Yeah, like I'll get back to you." And then it's like a couple months later, I'm like, "Oh, they don't like what I do."
Yeah. That's
like,
it. That's what I mean.
That kind of breaks your heart more because you're like, I put myself out there.
Now I'm asking. He's just like, forget that guy. He's not good enough. Like, just tell me. I would rather people just be straight up with it. Just like, hey, bro, I don't think you're ready for this 10-minute set yet. You know what? I can take that. All right. So then just keep your eye on me because I'm going to keep doing my 5 minutes. Yeah. And when you think I'm ready, then you can come approach me. Or if I come approach you again, then maybe we'll go from there. But it's just the idea that like people, they're saying to me, some people say to me, like, they know you're good enough. You just haven't asked yet. So they're not going to do it.
That's crazy.
That's what I mean. Like, if you believe that I have the talent to do something and you don't want to approach me, and you feel like I have to approach you, then it's a weird dichotomy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's like the only time it's ever happened to me was when I got 18 bin.
Yeah.
I got the guest spot there, and I just got a text from Jordan, and he goes, "Hey, 10 minutes. Are you interested?" I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Hell yeah.
But Jordan has seen me perform for a long time now. Like, I went to the Hard Hat all the time. Like, he's seen me develop a little bit. So, and that felt good to be like, I'm on his radar now.
That's
like,
what I mean.
He's seen me develop, and he's like, he'd be good. You know, let's throw him up.
But I feel like, first of all, I loved Hard Hat. Like, I miss that mic. I do miss that mic. Only because, like, it was so small and intimate that, like, that's where I got a lot of my practice doing crowd work.
Yeah.
Like, I had some of my best crowd work moments there when I was like, I did something at the dive bar, didn't really work out too well. I don't really feel like doing it here. Let's just see if I can riff with the crowd and then get into something else. And it usually turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I feel like Adam sees me. Adam has seen me a couple of times, and he's like, every time I see you, he's like, you're getting better. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, you just got to keep working on it. But like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know when is the level where it's just like, hey man, I want you to feature somewhere. I want you to be the guy that comes up and do this.
Yeah. Because I wonder with all like Ian's mics and all of that, it's like, do they reach out to him? Does he reach out to them and just be like, I like this guy, let's put him up?
I feel like Ian's mics are kind of just like the hub. Like, that's the main hub for like that circle of comics that's always around. You know what I mean? Like, especially after the drama that happened between Ian and, he who shall not be named, whatever. Like, after all this stuff shakes out, you kind of see where people fell in their camps. And most people felt like the people you see at one fun day, you're going to see at every fun day.
Yeah.
Even Monday fun day, like most of those same people come out.
Yeah.
So like it's already a circle of comedians that he has around him, and at any point in time, he can just be like, "Hey, you want to do 15 minutes this Friday or this Thursday?" He can just do that. So he already has like, not to say he doesn't open it up for anybody else, because he's definitely brought in people from out of town. You know what I mean? But like he already has a carousel of comedians that he can just be like, "Hey, you want more time? You want to do something that's there?" So like that seems like it's a harder one to break into because like everybody's already there.
Yeah.
Plus,
and what's interesting to me, again. Not saying anything bad about these mics.
This is just what it is.
It is what it is. But I think that circle of comics who go to the fun days, not a lot of them branch out. Like they don't go to
Yeah.
a whole lot of these other mics,
Yeah.
and so they kind of everybody pats each other on the back.
Yeah.
And then I've seen some of them venture outside.
Yeah.
And realize that, oh, they're not just gonna blow smoke up my ass.
Yeah,
Like this
like,
is real people.
This is it.
ready.
Like it's either a good set or it isn't. And there's like they don't. There's no relationship for us to fall back on if it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's
exactly.
But
and that's why I feel like it's good. Like I hit as many mics as I can wherever I can.
That's
you know, even this Thursday one. It's been a pain in my ass for the last month. Like I'm still going there because now an opportunity might arise.
That's
you know,
it.
which I've been the only comic to stick around so far. So it can only be mine.
Hey man, it's yours if you want it, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's no harm in having that kind of a venue. There's no harm in having multiple venues, especially venues where like you don't see the same faces. Because like there's so I thought for the longest time that in Las Vegas, as far as like comedy goes, not booked shows, but just like open mics, it's like these have to be the only ones around because I've not seen any others.
Yeah.
But whenever I go to Urban Lounge, I'll go to Urban Lounge sometimes and I'll see comics that I only see at Urban Lounge. I've never seen them anywhere else, and they can be pretty fucking solid, right?
Yeah.
Wise Guys is the same now. You go to Wise Guys, there are comics that you only see at Wise Guys.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you will only see them at Wise Guys, but you will not see them anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
I was surprised the first time I went to Wise Guys because I thought it was going to be the
like,
same group of comics there.
You know, same thing. Like it's the same 10, 15 of us, and then you go up there, it's like, oh shit,
who the fuck is that guy?
He's been doing it for years, and where's he been? If like Wise Guys only been open for like a couple of months, where's this guy been? Like,
yeah.
But no, it's a bigger circle. It's just like I think this is the circle that we got introduced to. Like I don't know how you found your list of microphones, but for me it was like joining the Las Vegas comedians group and stuff like that. Yeah, so they post a list of mics, you go to those mics, and that's all there is.
And that's what's kind of annoying is that a lot of these other places they don't post on that channel.
No,
it's like why not?
Do you have your own channel? Is there another channel that I need to be in? Like,
exactly.
You know, there are comics who want to come and branch out and do other things. It's just
because even a popular one like Corkenthorn, when it was going. A lot of people went to that, but I only heard it by word of mouth.
That's it.
Like if somebody just said, "Hey, have you ever been to Corkenthorn?" I was like, "No." Like, give me the details. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Out of all the regulars that I see at any of the fun days or at Dive Bar or any of that stuff, the only one that I've seen go there more than maybe twice. And I'm gonna name him. I don't think he minds me naming him. Will Huntsinger. I definitely seen Will Huntsinger up there a couple of times, and every time I saw him up there, he fucking smashed. Like he did great. Kevin Winnie. I've seen Kevin Winnie go up there. The same thing. Like goes up there, does a joke, smashes. He's not afraid of the room or anything like that. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, those are the only two that I've really seen. Not to say that nobody else has come out and tried it once or twice, but those are the only two I've seen up there more than once.
Yeah.
So
I only went out there like twice. And then 360, who was hosting it, he stopped hosting it, and I heard it got weird. So I stopped going.
Yeah. So apparently this just came down the pipeline this past week. I think Jay went there, Jay Rivera. I don't know if he did comment, but his post led me to believe that they finally cut out the comedy.
Oh, really?
So apparently the lady who owns Corkenthorn, not the lady who necessarily runs it, but the lady who owns it, she doesn't like comedy at all. Like even when 3-6 was doing it, like she doesn't like comedy. She just doesn't. And so
weird. That's a weird statement.
That's kind of what I like. Don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against any other artist, spoken word, music, or anything like that. But like, I feel like 3-6 had a better command of like, mixing it up a bit, like comic, poet, music, comic, poet, stuff like that. When I went back after he left, I want to say it was like maybe December, right? Maybe mid to late December, he stopped doing it and then somebody else took over.
Yeah.
So I went back in like January a couple of times before it. I mean, this past week, I think is when they stopped literally no comics. It's just, So the other couple of times I went back, it was just like, oh yeah, we're going to do comics first, then spoken word, then music. And I'm like, okay, comedy first. All right, fine, whatever. We're all used to this shit. But like once the comics are done, it's like giving a kid sugar. You give them sugar, they're all jazzed up, they're laughing, they're having a good time. As long as the comics did their good, it's everybody's laughing, drinking, having fun. Yeah. Then you get spoken word, and like there aren't any, like I wouldn't call them like, they're kind of like downers in that like a lot of their stuff isn't too inspirational. It's more of like, I've been going through a lot of rough shit. I'm like, bro, like you being fat shamed is a terrible thing. And I'm never going to tell you like, respect yourself, love yourself always. But do you really need a 10-minute poem about you going through fat shaming? Yeah. And then like every time they get off stage, there's applause, but you can just tell the mood is just like, every poet just knocks the mood down just a little bit more.
Yeah. It's like I want to hear about your pain. Bro, just put it in joke form.
Please. Like I realize utilize comedy as my coping mechanism because
Yep.
I can. The idea of just going up on stage being like, I too have suffered. Like that doesn't like. There's no way I'm gonna do that. There's no fucking way I'm gonna do that.
Ugh.
But then like, so you have uppers where all these comedians are trying to bring you up, make you laugh, and then you have like this weird thing where like it's inspirational, but it's also suffrage, so kind of like brings the crowd back down.
Yeah.
And by the time they get to music, I think they're just waiting for the club to start because like after hours is where they start having like club DJs or whatever they do.
Yeah.
Like apparently there's an after hours gig after the comedy show where people just come out, do whatever they do.
Yeah, it's like a mingling
Yeah.
type shit.
Yeah, it turns into a full-fledged hookah lounge with music, no act, no anything like that, just people mingling. So, like, I think they're just waiting for, like, by the time they get to music, they're just waiting for that at the end. Like, it just, I felt like doing it in a mix kind of, like, broke the mood. So you can have somebody that just comes up there and is like, sharing my innermost feelings and take you on this emotional journey. Yeah. And then right after that, there's going to be somebody that's talking about dicks for, like, 5 minutes. It's going to make you, like, break the ice a little bit. Then there's some music, and then the next thing you know, we're out of there.
Yeah.
But I guess
I've only been to a few of those where it's like a mixed mic like that.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Sticks used to have one.
Oh, yeah.
And he only ran it for a little while. I did it a couple times, and it was mostly just music and comedy.
I get you.
And that was all right. Some chick goes up there, she sings a Beyonce song, and then I go up there and talk about my asshole.
Yeah,
everybody was happy.
It's an even mix, right? You know what I mean?
And it worked out, but there was something again with the owner and the material that was being said and stuff like that.
They're like it's too. Because that was at that mall past the strip, wasn't it? Down? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That seems like a pretty fancy kind of thing. So maybe maybe they don't want to hear like nigga, you know what I mean? Like they're not trying to. This is a family-friendly restaurant.
But it is weird that like you could find music venues for up and coming artists everywhere.
Dive bar, anywhere, bro. Like they'll let you on stage. Like, you got an instrument in the band? Hell yeah, get up here.
But it's like with comedy, it's so hard to find something that it's like we can draw an audience. Mm-hmm. We can, give you stage time, and then nobody's gonna fuck with your material.
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing.
It's a bigger risk. It's a bigger risk because, like, it's a mixed bag, man. Like some comics, you get up there and it's like, oh, they've been to South, they've been all these places, they've done great things, and they get in your restaurant, and then like comedy is the one art form I think where you could literally drive a crowd away by what you're saying. Like if people don't like your music, they'll clap for you politely, they'll sit through and they'll just wait for the like, all right, I know now I won't come see this band again because they're not my cup of tea. Yeah. With comedy though, like you can go so far into what they consider inappropriate that they'll just literally like close out, get up, leave, and they're never coming back. Like that. Yeah. That's a black mark. Yeah.
It's crazy to me because Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah.
I don't know, Patrice.
I don't know Patrice.
One of the greatest lines he ever said is that, comedy is not about having everybody laughing.
Yeah.
It's about 50% laughing and 50% being fucking horrified.
That's it.
And like, but that 50% who's horrified, they shouldn't try to shut down anything.
No.
Or fucking,
because like
yell out and be mad about it. It's like, just sit there, be uncomfortable, and then when the next guy goes up, maybe he's telling fucking fish puns.
That's what I mean. Like, what? That's he had a line like that. Like he was talking about a heckler. It's like, you're supposed to make me laugh. It's like, I can't make you laugh. You're sitting over there scowling. I don't know what the fuck you're going through, but clearly, like, you came to a comedy show dead set against laughing, and you're expecting me to be able to change your mind on that. Like that doesn't work. Not for. I mean, I might be able to say one thing that gets you like a ha ha ha, but for me to be able to change your entire mood when you're so dead set against it, like there's no. I don't think there's a comedian in the world that can do that.
No,
not consistently. Anyway.
And that's why I appreciate Steve's place at the barbecue spot. When he got up there and he's opening the show, he goes, couple rules, if you're easily offended, fuck you.
Yeah,
like, oh well. Yeah. And I love that. I love that, getting it right out of the way. Because it's like, it's completely uncensored. If you're easily offended, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I just want to remind everybody, you came out to a comedy show. This isn't like a fucking daycare.
Exactly.
You're going to hear some things that are going to seem kind of left field. So if you get easily offended, either bunker down and get the fuck out now. Like,
and that's why I don't like when certain shows, they'll say, here's a rule, like no hate speech or anything like that. I'm like, I get the sentiment, but you're opening it up for the crowd to now determine what is hate speech.
That's it.
And now they can be offended at
anything,
the smallest joke, and then now the whole show goes off the rails.
I like when they give me those rules because I kind of take it as a challenge, right? Like if I go to a show like after 3 times and I hear just like, you can't, like if there was ever a show that was like, no niggas, I'm gonna write as many jokes as I can without nigga in it, but it's gonna be alluded to it so heavily that they're gonna fill the gaps themselves. Like, I didn't say it, but you guys all know what we're thinking, right? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
See, like I can't say it, but they can, Rules not for me.
I love that because at Noreen's they used to have the rule. They were like, if you're not black, you shouldn't say the N-word.
Right.
And they used to say that before every show. one day I get up there and I was like, they have this rule, but a lot of Mexicans get a pass on it. I
Yeah.
was like, I am Mexican. I was like, should I say it? And then a couple people in the audience are like, yeah, like, go for it.
Yeah.
And then I just lean into the mic and I just go, never mind.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
okay.
do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to flip that dice.
Yeah.
I can't do that today.
Yeah. But it's like I heard that rule so many times, but a Mexican comic went up one night and he drops it. Nobody gave a fuck.
That's
and
it.
Then I was like, what about me?
I love that. I love the N-bomb. I love niggas so much because, like, I am of the firm understanding that, like, if you can say that word or not. Like, there's no, like, if you just went up with all the confidence in the world, like, I can say nigga, and I know I can, and you just do it, like, they might call you on it afterwards, but I don't think too many people are going to be like right then and there, like, oh, he must be mixed. They're going to, most people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and then afterwards they're going to be like, what are you mixed with? And then it's going to become like, but if you just go with the confidence that you know you can say it, you might get away with it. Like, I mean, okay, maybe not everybody. Like, you got to have at least like a little bit, like, you know,
like a Parker tie.
Yeah, he's not going to get away with that. No, he's not going to get away with that. That's not
with his painted fingernails.
Yeah,
like, they're going to turn on him.
No, real fast. That might not work so well for him. But
like a Lex Las Vegas.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, Lex is like Italian from New York.
If he did it with confidence,
that's what I'm saying.
They might let it slide. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. In my hood, that's just what we do. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's got the accent for it too. It's like in Brooklyn, I'm one of the homies. That's just me. Yeah. Like, another comic that did it was Damien Velez, Puerto Rican comic.
I'm not sure.
Babo. He talks really fast. He's old. He did it at a show once, and like he got checked afterwards because it's like, bro, you're not black. Why are you saying that? He's like, well, I grew up here. I mix with everybody, bro. I mix with everybody. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's what I mean, though. Like, you said it with confidence. Somebody checked you afterwards, so now you know, like, 99% of the crowd might have been okay with. Well, I won't say 99%. Like, if one person talks to you about something you did on stage, there's probably at least like 10 more people that weren't uncomfortable with it too. Right? So like, that's what I mean. Like, it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I just hate when people like. I've had comics ask me that shit too. Like, can I say? If you think it'd be funny if I said the N-word?
Yeah, you did that.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna vouch for you. Like, I'm not gonna be like, he's okay, folks. He's got my permission. Like, either they're gonna be like, that was a great joke, and you're gonna be in the clear, or they're gonna rush the fucking stage, and I'm gonna be like, well, he tried.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and like, I guess it's just because I've loved comedy for so long. Yeah. It's like I want the craft to be pure. Yeah. You know what I mean? I want the standard of nothing's off limits. Yeah. You know, like, obviously, you drop the N-bomb, you get your ass beat in the parking lot.
Well, I mean, it's not off limits. It's just you got to take those consequences.
Exactly.
If you said it in the wrong place in the wrong way, there's going to be consequences.
But it's like that N-word bit that I said, like, where I dance around it. Yeah. It's like, it's a good bit. If you see it in its entirety, I feel like it's decently well put together. Yeah. I made an entire crowd laugh with it one time. Yeah. I do it in front of a white crowd, and just because I'm alluding to the word, they get weird about it. Yeah. And that's what I don't like.
Because they like anytime white people hear nigga and it's not a black mouth saying it, they're just instantly expecting like 6 black dudes to come out of nowhere charging in.
But I mean, even if you don't say it, like, and you just allude to it, then they're like they're almost waiting for you to say it. Yeah. And they're like, is he gonna go this way with it?
He's gonna take that plunge.
And it's like, just roll with me. Like, understand that I'm not gonna get my ass kicked in the parking lot. Like, I'm not gonna put that forward. I'm the only one who has to deal with the consequences.
That's it.
And like, when I did it that one time, it killed. Like, I'm moving along through the set, and there was like a moment where I could pause, and then I forget what I said, and then Otis, he was in the back, and he was like, I'm with you, brother. And then I looked at Ian, I was like, I'm only continuing this because the one black guy in the back is saying he's with me.
That's it. He was like, all right, I got him on my side. I can keep going.
And I feel like that made all the white people with their buttholes clenched. They're like, okay, all right, he's with him.
I honestly hope one day, and everybody can just say nigga. I honestly hope it happens one day. Only because I don't think niggas really exist. Like, niggas like boogeyman, right? Like, no real niggas exist. Slaves weren't niggas. They were just, they were Africans, and you got labeled with that term. Yeah. But like, because it has such a history behind it, it's going to take a long time before it dilutes away. At some point, like, we're going to be in our 60s, and there's just going to be like this little white kid, come on, niggas, let's go. And it's going to be like, oh my God.
But that happened for me when I was growing up. Yeah. Like, there was a point in time where everybody said the word. It was like fucking like 2005 to 2008.
No
Like
shit.
everybody in my school was saying it. Like, hey, hey. Everybody, even the black kids to the white kids to the Mexicans, like everybody.
That's perfect.
And then
like
it just stopped one day.
Yeah, because somebody got their ass kicked, and we're like, okay, we got to put a limit on that.
Because honestly, it was just a part of my vocabulary when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then you started getting a little bit older and realized that something was changing, and I had to replace it with motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because it was that period at the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
And so I eventually had to wean it out. And it was like, but it was so weird to me when it started happening. I was like, I thought it was just like this. That's everywhere.
But like, look, I think the biggest mistake we can make is to act like people don't say it. Like people say it, nigga. Like whether you're white, black, or anything, if you like rap, you've probably said it by yourself a couple of times. Like everybody does. But like, it's just this. It still has that stigma that's gonna get consequences. Right?
I mean, with all these stray cats, like that's all I'm yelling at them. All right, man. We're gonna wrap this shit up. Do you have any social media or anything that you want to plug?
I'm on Instagram, r_the_stray. You can find me under my real name, Rufus Nelson IV, or Rufus Writerman Nelson. Like, you remember like when people were like being edgy and changing their names on Facebook before they made it so like it's permanent? Yeah. So I used to be just like a bunch of different things, but on Facebook I'm Rufus Writerman Nelson. Instagram r_the_stray, and that's it. I don't do it. I have a TikTok, but I've never posted anything to it. So I'm not. I fucking
hate TikTok.
I love TikToks. TikToks is just titties, and like titties and do-it-yourself videos, but mostly it's just like titties. Like I can deal with that.
Because I used to do a podcast with my buddy before I started this one.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of just like watching videos on YouTube or World Star and just talking shit, you know, making jokes. And so I would try to take clips of that and put it on TikTok because it was the big growing fucking platform. Every day I would get it would get taken down or whatever. It was fucking hate speech or this or that or, and like one of them, we were literally watching a video about two gay guys teaching you how to like self-suck, like how to suck your own dick. So we're sitting there, we're talking shit about it. And then I put it up and it was like, oh, it's hate speech. I'm like, bro, we're just talking about the video.
That's what I don't understand. Like I'm seeing like, I think TikTok has just become like, at least for me, like it's become one of those things where it's just like a prelude to OnlyFans. Cause like all you're doing, all you're seeing is models get on there and do something like, look at my sound. And then you look at the sound, it's like my OnlyFans account is blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, bro.
It's just promoting.
Yeah, you're just doing advertising for OnlyFans on TikTok. And I don't know. My favorite one is always seeing like the girl do something and then like there's a phone underneath her, like showing like it's like, oh, this you can see this angle from my OnlyFans page. I'm like, come on, bro. Like I don't need this in my life.
Oh man, but it's fucking wild. I got to get better at social media, especially because I have a fucking podcast. Like I have something to promote.
Yeah, I'm starting to get to that point to like keep a lookout on me because I'm gonna start getting to the point where I'm gonna start posting snippets of my set on Instagram. Like 15 minutes is a lot, or 5 minutes is kind of a lot, but I'm gonna start getting stuff up there.
All right. And last question, I forgot to ask you.
Yeah.
With all this stand-up, a lot of people use stand-up as a stepping stone to acting and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you have any interest in that?
I would not be against acting, only because like it could be a different facet, or it could lead to something more. Like seeing scripts being written out could probably help with memorization too. But like I'm open to it. Like I consider myself now like I'm a comic, but I'm also a performer. Like if somebody was like, "Hey man, you want to do a skit with me?" I'll do a skit. If you want to, be in a movie, it's just like a throwaway thing in a movie. I'd be like, I don't mind that.
Okay.
Yeah, but for me, the end all be all is like I said, the first thing is to master my craft where I feel comfortable doing it anywhere.
Yeah.
And then after that is like being able to pay my bills with the shit. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much it. But no, I'm not closed off from anything.
Yeah.
Not until it goes horribly wrong, and then I'll start taking some steps back.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna learn how to play the French horn and do something.
I always wanted to learn the saxophone.
All right. Definitely go follow Rufus on all of his shit. Follow my Instagram, _Hernandez_comedy. Do that. Pretty sure I'm having Justin Tejan on next weekend.
Oh shit, okay.
Justin Tejan. So stick around for that. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, internet.